here at the
Sorry, go ahead.
Modesto Gospel meeting, and you are all being recorded. So watch what you say. So, anyways, we will get started here. If anyone else comes on, we might interrupt to have them introduce themselves. But basically, we need to approve the minutes from last, and here they're up on your screen. And we will, if anyone wants to move to approve the minutes in second, I'd be grateful.
Move to approve.
All right, Cecil, anyone second?
I'll second.
Who was that? You didn't appear on my screen.
Amy.
Okay, thanks, Amy. All right, all in favor, raise your hands. Throw them up in the air, wave them about. Thank you. Anyone oppose? All right, so approved. And did someone come in that'd like to
Jalen.
introduce themselves?
Jalen, would you like to introduce yourself?
Can I say no?
See that Friday thing again.
Good afternoon, everyone. Jalen French, City of Modesto, Community and Economic Development Director.
Thank you for joining us. Steven's frozen at the moment, John. Just a heads
Okay.
up.
Okay. Well, we'll kind of go through this, and by the time we get to Stephen, I don't see that many reps on the call, but just in case we missed anyone, is anyone here from U.S. Congressman Josh Harder's office? Recent recipient of the Abraham Lincoln Award. Thanks for the State Senator Susan Eggman. State Senator Caballero. Is Lisa here from Adam Gray's office? I didn't see her.
Not at this time.
Okay, anyone from Heath Flora?
Not at this time.
And then Nick, I'm assuming you were going to waive any announcements till your boss speaks here?
Yes, yeah.
All right, great, thanks. And is anyone here from the city?
Well, Amy and Jalen are here.
Okay. Amy, did you want to say anything on behalf of the county? Anything to report?
Just a couple of things. We're moving forward with strategizing the investment around our American Rescue Plan Act funds. And I know we talked about that briefly in last month's meeting, but we took an item to the Board of Supervisors last month to look at how we would program those funds. And we have sort of identified buckets that will help us sort of with a framework of how we're investing that money. So they include county pockets or county islands, as some people call them, $50 million infrastructure spend there, a $5 million benefit to the community regarding investment in supporting family resource centers and community-based organizations, a $5 million investment in Community Development Corporation for housing and projects like that, and then $30 million for economic development and jobs in our community. So we're excited to be working on that and looking forward to supporting a lot of needs in our community with that funding. And we also got some really great news last week that the Federal Transportation and Infrastructure Committee rolled out their infrastructure bill and included $12 million for our SR 132 project and $6.5 million for our 7th Street Bridge renovation. So we'll be working on some really big projects regarding roadways and lots of good things to come.
Great. Great, thank you. Jalen, did you have anything you wanted to say on behalf of the city?
Well, not much left to share after Amy. I was also going to mention the 12 million for 132. Great feat really for the region and continuing that project. We're about midway through construction on phase 1. So looking forward to getting into phase 2 and eventually phase 3. And then the city is also continuing to explore our ARPA, what we call ARPA fund, We received 45.8 million. Our council has also adopted sort of broad categories, kind of line items, we're calling them, and staff is developing programs which we will bring back before the council over the next several months on each of those line items. So another good opportunity to put some money into good use on things that we haven't been able to get to in the past. So some good opportunities coming up.
Great. Thank you, Jalen. And then I don't think anyone's here from MID or AT&T or Comcast. So I'm going to say, before I get to you, Stephen, Yamilet, do you want to say anything on behalf of what you guys are doing?
Sure. At Golden Valley Health Centers, as you know, we're a federally qualified health center. We hold 42 health centers throughout the Central Valley. We have been extremely focused on delivering healthcare, but now during this pandemic, we are also at the forefront when it comes to the testing piece, the treatment piece around COVID, and obviously right now the vaccination efforts. And so I just want to open it up if anybody knows of any organization or company, since we do have a mobile unit that provides vaccinations now, if they want to sign up and have this mobile unit at their place of business, just to reach out to me and we'd be more than happy to coordinate. There is absolutely no fee at all to their staff, nor to nor obviously to the company. So just an FYI, we do have that.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and then I'm going to real quick, Raul, did you want to say anything?
John, no, I think Amy covered the county report, some of the items that we're working on, but certainly appreciate just the invite to be here and listening to what's going on here locally. So thank you.
Great, thank you. And then Stephen Qualls, League of California Cities. What do you have for us?
I have a muted computer. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. So I appreciate you letting me be here today, and it's good to see everybody, and hopefully we can be able to meet in the future in person pretty soon. Pretty much it's all about the ARPA, not only the funding that came down, but also the regulations. We're still not really clear about what our allowable uses are for those funds. There's been a lot of guidance that's been dropped by the Treasury Department and the Department of Finance. But so we're currently working with our cities to help them get those funds out and use it appropriately. You'll be happy to hear there's quite a lot of things that is in there for businesses, as far as helping with the pay and things like that. So you heard that OSHA had recently passed some new regulations. It was I think it's called 4-1. There was one member who didn't vote. The lone no vote was a member of the labor, a member of some labor group, and apparently labor had some concerns about it because of some of the dropping of the precautions that were being done. But here's some links for you guys if you want to look at documents and things like that. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff in there for businesses. So monies can be allocated. I don't know if the city or the county has made a decision on how they're going to allocate their proportions for the businesses, but they should be able to. Where is that? I think it's over there. They should be getting that money out pretty soon if they have not already done so. Some of the bills I've covered earlier, AB 845. So this will allow an employee, I believe it's only for local government, to be able to retire with a disability from CalPERS if they have lasting effects from COVID. It's assumed that COVID-19 infection was contracted on the job. We're obviously opposed to that. All these bills have passed over into the opposite house. They had to do so, I think it was on June 4th or June 6th. AB 1401, so this would prohibit cities from imposing or enacting a minimum parking requirement if the developments within certain areas. We're obviously opposed to that. Something Modesto should be concerned about because that has within a half mile of a transit or bus stop, which has stops here 15 minutes, and other ones that have been identified as low vehicle miles traveled areas. 556 has to do with placing telecommunications equipment on publicly owned structures. One of our main concerns with this right now is that in 2018, the FCC changed the rules on the fees that a city or local government can charge, and also the implementation, like design expectations, things like that. Some cities and states are suing the FCC. So I feel like this bill is premature to be able to move forward with these when there's still possible litigation in the federal government. So it's over there. I don't know. Hold on. Sorry, my wife's here. So then we have the sales and use tax on zero emission vehicles and hybrid vehicles. That's obviously going to be, that's being held in the assembly desk, so it may not be heard this year, but that would obviously affect your dealerships with their sales and your use taxes. And then SB 619 has to do with the 1383, which I mentioned to you earlier, about the directing of green waste out of our landfills to lower the GHGs. This can require every residential customer and business customer to have a separate container. To move that, I think they eventually want to get to 70 or 75% diversion of the green waste. Our concerns with it is that and I mentioned this earlier, I apologize if you've heard this before, but this bill passed in 2016. CalRecycle was tasked in 2017 with setting down the guidelines and the penalties. They waited till November 2020, and we have to meet these goals by January 1st of 2022, and there aren't a lot of facilities that can process this waste. And so with the environmentalists and other concerns up in Sacramento, we're not able to stop the bill. We just want to delay in implementation, even maybe implementation of the penalty phase. We were not able to do so. We were able to get $200 million in the Senate Budget Committee. It's in the Assembly Budget Committee now. And this would help cities and counties to, as far as like, education, consulting, outreach to our businesses and our residential customers to, like express upon them the need to be able to separate these out of our normal waste services. And then these are other ones I've covered too. AB 48, this would restrict or prohibit the use of kinetic energy, which is like rubber bullets or tear gas or pepper spray to disperse a crowd during a demonstration unless there's possible to prevent bodily injury. We're opposed to that. That's over again in the Senate. AB 89, this would raise the minimum requirements for age for new hires for police officers from 18 to 25. We're concerned about this unless they have a higher education, because this could really hurt our recruiting of the minority population, because right now recruiting is hard enough to do and retainment is hard enough to do. So that would affect us that way. And SB 2 is a really bad bill. One of the worst things it does, it takes what they call qualified immunity. And even the courts have said that, people should not have to just to pause because they're afraid of doing something they're going to be sued for. And this also, the language is so vague, this should actually apply to child welfare workers and put them at risk of being sued. And then this last one, I thought some of my chambers have found this interesting. If you don't already know about this, is AB 84. And pretty much this is saying that you would have to offer job openings to your previously laid off employees. You have to give them first up. They had been employed with you for 6 months and more in the last 12 months. And if the layoff was COVID-19 related, and you also have to keep records of your communications with those employees, to making the offers that you did to them. With that, that's the end of my report. And I'm here to answer any questions that you may have. All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Stephen. And we'll send out a copy of this to everyone that's on today's call as well. So I did want to double back on Angela. I just want to see if you want to report anything else in addition to the county on your department.
No, thanks for the opportunity. I think it's all been covered, so thank you.
All right, thanks. All right, well, without further ado, our main speaker is Supervisor Manny Grewal, one of the newly appointed supervisors, but not a stranger to local politics. Manny, you look like you're on vacation with the palm trees behind you. So, but go ahead and feel free to take it over.
All right, well, it's taken me about 20 minutes. I'm a little OCD and I'm trying to center myself between the two palm trees. So if you kind of see me not trying to move, because I don't want to mess up the center part that I have going on. Vacation, none, no, here on business. Probably not the best place for somebody to hold a business meeting. I can certainly say I'm in a place that's hotter than you guys, because I know you guys today are at like 110 degrees. I'm sitting in 118 with no breeze. So I thought it'd be good to take the call here. But thank you for having me. Like you said, on the County Board of Supervisors, but been involved in serving the public in many levels in Modesto. So I'm going to start out. I think there's a little deck that we sent out just to kind of keep myself on focus, but also talk about the various topics that I'd like to discuss with all of you, and then the opportunity for questions that hopefully I can have answers for. So just a little bit about myself. I'm on the Stanislaus County Board of Supervisors, born and raised in Modesto, attended local schools, which sometimes, I always think, like, I went to Johansen High School. So if any of you guys are familiar with Johansen High School, that was like one of the newest schools 25 years ago. But now I tell my kids about it and they're like, "Oh, Dad, you went to Johansen?" Make it sound like it's really old. But I'm proud of the fact that I got to go to Seifert Elementary, Teal Middle School, and Johansen High School, and then continue my education at MJC, and then go up to UOP, finish my Bachelor's of Science in Business Administration, and then go to the Eberhoff School of Business. My wife and I are raising our 4 children here in Modesto. My wife is a local dentist. She operates dental offices here in the county. And myself, outside of public service, I partake in farming, real estate holdings, and hospitality. I served on the Modesto Planning Commission for 2 years, from 2013 to 2015, then got elected to the Modesto City Council from 2015 to 2020, got an additional year because of the fact that we moved over to even year elections. So that's why we got 5 years rather than the 4 years, and then served there until December 1st of 2020, and then started serving on the Stanislaus County Board of Supervisors on December 2nd, 2020. So it was a nice transition into continuing to serve the public. I obviously, logistics-wise, it wasn't a big move. My office now on the county side is directly across from the office that I had on the city side. Sit on the dais, represented District 1, so I had to move over like 4 seats to District 4. So logistics hasn't been an issue, and it hasn't been a big change. So that's, and then serving on local boards, on the CSU Stanislaus Board, Memorial Hospital Foundation Board, Stanislaus County Interfaith Council, and then different boards through the Board of Supervisors, like StanCog and the TRRP board. So get an opportunity to really be engaged on many different levels and many different sectors that affect our community. I thoroughly enjoy it. It's an honor to be able to serve the residents of Stanislaus County and Modesto prior. On the Board of Supervisors, obviously, things are at a bigger magnitude as far as budget and departments. So on the Stanislaus County Board of Supervisors, the budget is approximately $1.5 billion, which is obviously something that we want to make sure that the taxpayers' money is being well utilized, well spent, and that's a big responsibility, as well as the different county departments. A lot more departments than on the city council, roughly about 25 different departments and agencies. And that's something that's very important to me. So I know when I got on the Board of Supervisors, the first thing I requested to the CEO Jody Hayes, was to be able to go to each of the different departments in the county and not only introduce myself, but also meet the department heads and then learn about their departments at their domain. because it's different just meeting somebody on the 6th floor, but then going out and seeing what they do on a day-to-day level, the amount of employees they have to manage, the amount of infrastructure they have to manage. I remember, obviously the sheriff's department, huge department with the jail, but going to our CSA agency, it really puts into perspective the amount of things that they are responsible, whether it's the WIC program, whether it's other programs, Medicare, Medi-Cal program, different programs in the county that are ran through the county. So that was obviously a huge learning experience. And then going to SR 911, going to HSA, public health. And it really put in perspective the amount and magnitude of work that's done by our great employees. And the part that really was amazing and was really something that I appreciated is the longevity of our employees at the county. Any of the department heads you would talk to, 25 years plus, many of those, but a lot of 15 plus years with the county. So that gave me some sense of pride, because that means people really are vested and they want to see the projects that they take on or the departments they take on be something that they do for the long term. And it's not just a place where they kind of stick around for a little bit to pump up their resume to go somewhere else. The longevity of the employees here at the county is something that's as someone on the policy board really appreciative of that. So that was one of the first things. And we regulate land use in unincorporated areas. Obviously, the cities do a lot of the things that the cities have to do, but the counties involved in the county islands, involved in other areas, the agricultural areas, and kind of the outlying areas in the county. I mean, if you put in perspective, just one of my colleagues, Buck Condit, I mean, his district runs all the way from Riverbank all the way to Knights Ferry. It's a very broad district as far as just land, but also the area that he covers. So, and then you go to District 5, you're Patterson, Ceres, all the way to Diablo Grande, and so it's just amazing to see the amount of area that's also covered by this board. My district, District 4, is mostly Modesto. I think 80% of my district is in the city limits of Modesto, and then about 20% in County Islands, which are the airport neighborhood and the Del Rio neighborhood. So about 80% of my district is in the city of Modesto, which I find really gratifying, because having represented the city of Modesto for 5 years, I feel that I have a good understanding of the issues, the concerns of Modesto, how to bring in good paying jobs, how to get new development here in the city. Those are things and conversations that I've been sitting in for the last 7 years, including Planning Commission and the City Council. So it's really an honor and a privilege to serve the district where Modesto is a majority of the district, because I feel that I have a little bit of previous knowledge of what's going on with Modesto and the challenges we face and the things that are going in our favor. So, I know this meeting today is about, the challenges and the opportunities that Stanislaus County has. Well, I feel that one of the biggest challenges that not only the counties face, but the entire world has faced is the pandemic. And with that finally coming behind us, I mean, in the last week, we've seen that even the state of California, full opening for residents, and then businesses are allowing people in without masks as long as they're vaccinated, and other things are opening up. And that is encouraging, because I think for the last year and a half, you would ask any county employee or anybody on the board, that was first and foremost focus for everyone, whether it was making sure that the money that came in through the federal government, whether it was the CARES Act funding and now the ARPA funding, it's being utilized to the best possible way, because it's a lot of money coming in. And I know Amy already touched on we're starting to put it in different buckets, because we want to be not only accountable to the taxpayer, but accountable to ourselves, that money was not spent frivolously or not spent without much thought going into it. Although it is a big, influx into into the economy. I mean, if you look at what the county's gotten and the other cities, I know Modesto's gotten somewhere in the range of about 47 million, Turlock 16 million, and different areas. I think at the last count, there's about $200 million through the ARPA funds that's come back into this community, which is a huge number, and it's unprecedented. So it's also unprecedented with the opportunities that presents us, where we spend that money, how do we capitalize on that investment for years to come. So infrastructure, I mean, if we started talking infrastructure, we could probably spend $500 million to fully do what we need to do in the county islands for infrastructure, but we want to take a big swing at it with $50 million in infrastructure improvements. I know different parts of the district, they're not having sidewalks, not having things that people within the city limits enjoy. That's a priority. So that's why such a big number was allocated to infrastructure. And then you get to economic development. And this group, the Modesto Chamber of Commerce, and many people on this call, that's been their number one priority for many, many years. And this is, I think, just in my experience, and there's other that are more experienced on this call that can chime in on this, but I don't think a $30 million investment just strictly focused on economic development, I think that's unprecedented, or I for sure I wasn't around when the last time an investment of that size is coming into this community. And even that, we just don't want that we're throwing money, good money, at things that might work. We really want to know where we're spending that money. So hiring something like a Brookings Institute that's telling us, all right, these are the things that you need to capitalize on as a region. Because many times, and some might agree or some might not agree, I always feel that we're always trying to identify ourselves like another region or another area. And I believe there's a lot of things that we have going for ourselves here in Stanislaus County and in Modesto that we need to really amplify or grow upon, rather than trying to reinvent ourselves. And so for that reason, we probably want somebody to give us that a kind of a baseline of, these are the things that Stanislaus County really can capitalize on, whether it's agribusiness, whether it's technology, whether it's proximity to the Bay Area, with costs going up in the Bay Area for real estate, for housing, for rental, the rental market. Are those people now wanting to come to this county and rather work from here? Well, if the workforce is now here and we're getting that workforce here in Stanislaus County, then it would be a smart investment for those companies to start really investing in Stanislaus County. So the county and the board's priority is facilitate job creation, promote an active, attractive regional environment, and promote adequate, affordable housing. All three of those, some are easier said than done. I mean, affordable housing, as we see, because of lack of inventory, that's a part of it. And the exodus of people leaving the Bay Area because of the costs of housing there. And after the pandemic, just the prioritization of where people want to be. God forbid there's never another pandemic like this, but do you want to be in an area where you have a backyard, where you have some outdoor activities, where you aren't in a highly populated area, or do you want to be where you're in a 600 square foot studio apartment that you can't leave? And many people experience that in the Bay Area, and you're seeing areas like Sacramento, the San Joaquin region, Stanislaus County, where people are leaving that to be in areas where they have more space for themselves and their families. And I think that's one component of it. We're seeing that in our personal business, not just on the county side, but like I said in my opening, my wife, she operates 4 dental offices in the region. And it was always a challenge to get dentists to relocate to Stanislaus County. And the reason would be, they kind of want to have the nightlife and the experience of living near the Bay Area. But now you see, as costs have gone up, and they know that their dollar goes a lot further here in Stanislaus County when it comes to home ownership and other things. Now they're making that decision of, okay, that's great, but if I want to have a family, raise a family, or be able to own my own home, then I need to start refocusing where I live. And so now over the last 5 years, it's gotten easier, because prior they would live in Dublin or Livermore and make the reverse commute work and then go spend all their tax dollars in other areas. And now we're starting to see that they're living here and want to reside here. So that's one, just on a personal note, that I'm seeing that there's a change in mindset of people coming into Stanislaus County. Now, obviously that's really good, but everything always has, every action has an adverse reaction. It's also pricing out some of our residents to home ownership. It's also pricing out our residents when it comes to renting, right? I mean, now you're starting to see, I know the new apartment complex that opened up in Kernan Business Park East. They did 100 apartments. I think they're like at 95% occupancy, and a 2-bedroom, 2-bath is going for $2,200. Don't quote me on that, but that's kind of the what I've heard. And then I did a little bit of due diligence. I can certainly say that a 1-bedroom, 1-bath is going for $1,800 because I called and checked on that. But I mean, 5 years ago, a 1-bedroom, 1-bath apartment in Modesto, maybe $1,100, maybe $1,200. Some of the newer apartment developments, whether it was the Bellagios in East Modesto, but now comparably, you're starting to see the prices almost go up 80 to 100% of what they were 5 years ago. And that's an issue for people that have resided here, work here, because it's starting to price them out of being able to rent. And that's a concern as well. So like I said, the positive note, people are coming in, want to live in Stanislaus County. I think we're one of the few counties that experienced actual population growth of about 2% in the last update, because I think people are starting to come here and want to live here. But now the people that have resided here, there's challenges that they're facing. And then that's where it comes to really the county and the cities and partners such as the chamber of how do we address the issue of shovel-ready land, right? Because what we're seeing, although we don't want to lose our agricultural heritage, but we really have to see where we can do some infill development. And this conversation is probably more aligned with what Modesto is facing. You're seeing other parts of the county that are obviously growing because they have the capacity to grow. Patterson being one of them, Turlock, Riverbank to some extent. But Modesto, because I know I'm speaking to a group that is very Modesto centric, and I represent Modesto, is how do we make sure that Modesto doesn't get confined or cornered on its ability to grow? And those are the conversations that we need to be having now, because I keep going to Kernan Business Park East, but that was probably our last shovel-ready infill development. That now that things are moving, I mean, next 3 years you're not going to have any space there. If it hasn't already developed, whatever space there is already has a plan for it to be developed. So it's just a matter of construction time that it's going to take to fully develop out that entire build out. So those are some of the things that are really near and dear to me, and that's why I appreciate these conversations with groups that are really trying to help out business, and the county is as well. I mean, in the pandemic, we've given $10 million in small business cards, the RAD card, which was a great program that has been utilized here in the county, and now it's starting to move into other counties. And then the Stanislaus Economic Development and Workforce Alliance, looking for new types of jobs, workforce development, our SBDC, Small Business Development Center. All of those groups are working in cohesiveness, not with just county staff, but with businesses, private business, and with Opportunity Stanislaus, how do we bring in new business, new enterprise, new jobs into this region? So those are the focuses that I think for myself being on the board are a priority to me when it comes to economic development, because I think true economic development is going to happen when we have our college graduates, one, whether they're college graduates, two, if they go into a trade that I can tell you that that's one of the biggest impediments right now in development is finding good tradespeople that are available. Because for so many years, college was the number one priority, and the trades people were less willing or less enticed to go in. But I can tell you, just as someone that is really engaged in my personal business in seeing projects come to fruition, and the biggest impediment right now is a labor shortage. Is a labor shortage, especially specialized labor. So things like the Volt Institute with Stanislaus County Office of Education, obviously that's something that we have to look at. Whether it's tech-based jobs, those are the kind of things that we have to really promote, advocate, and then align with. Sometimes it is a monetary issue where these programs can't grow because money's not being provided to them. Well, if that investment creates an economic solution for a lot of the things that we're facing, then that's money well spent. I always say that, sometimes you have to spend money to make money, and to make a community, you need to really show that you're behind something, not only verbally and not through other actions, but sometimes a monetary investment to make people feel comfortable that this is something that everybody's in together. So those are things that are important to me as just one member of the Board of Supervisors, is to see economic development that's sustainable for many, many years to come in this region. And I think we really are at a prime spot right now. I think now it's time to have the conversations, and sometimes they're tough conversations. I will say that with a great degree of confidence. They're tough conversations because sometimes some feel that you're affecting them or affecting an issue that's important to them. But there has to be compromise. There has to be an opportunity for everybody to plead their case why something needs to be done or why it doesn't need to be done, and then have that conversation to continue carry over. So those are the conversations I'd like to see being had and like to be a part of. So that's my, 20-minute spiel of just a little bit about myself, priorities, things that the county is doing. I can further elongate on that part of the conversation, but I just feel that this forum is an opportunity for interactive conversation so that it's more engaging. If there's people that have questions that I can answer, or if not answer, then be able to get those answers to you. So without, any more elongation on the things that I've already discussed, I'd like to open it up to questions. If that's to the liking. If not, I can continue.
Does anyone have any questions for Manny? I've got a few, but I'll first see if anyone has any. So Manny, on economic development, when you're talking about long-term strategy, we've heard recently, as you know, maybe you got off just in time, but the city is doing their comprehensive general plan update. That's coming into fruition now, which I know that you were always very supportive of. But I think my understanding, and I know Jalen's on the call too. I think my understanding is roughly they're looking to have this plan addressed till 2050, or something to that effect. And my question to you is, and not holding you to anything, but just in general, when you look at like 132, as that's finished, what are areas for the county, in your opinion, to develop along 132 you know, as that is a, you know, a busy thoroughfare going to and from the bay, as far as, you know, whether that's, you know, whatever, business parks or gas stations or hotels and that kind of thing. And then also kind of along north of Modesto and Kiernan, where obviously, as you know well, you know, around Kaiser is booming right now as far as development and construction. And just kind of, so what is your kind of long-term 30, 40 years view, just your opinion, both being a city council member, planning commission member, and now on a supervisor of these kind of areas, you know, of Stanislaus County?
No, that's a good question, John. And I started to allude to that. I mean, these are the conversations that need to be had now, right? And they're tough conversations. They're going to require a lot of compromise on many sides. Obviously, there's the side of our agricultural heritage, but we also want to be able to expand and grow. So, you know, the question that we always get is, you know, if so-and-so were to come into Stanislaus County and want to invest $1 billion, where would they invest it, right? A lot of these cities that have done economic development, such as Fresno and now Bakersfield's working on, that's the question they work backwards from. All right, if somebody wanted to put in a manufacturing plant or expand, or if they wanted to put in, you know, a Class A office business, or they wanted to put more warehousing, where are the areas that we would send them and say, hey, this is ready to go. This is ready to, you know, for you to utilize. And when it comes to other parts of the county, I think that those areas that have major thoroughfares, like you have talked about on 132, like the I-5 corridor, we're starting to see those areas really flourish. So the conversation has to be had, especially for the next 30, 40 to 50 years, of where can development occur that's not, you know, allows for us to remain our agricultural heritage, but also provide jobs and big numbers in jobs, and not just jobs that are, you know, lower to middle class jobs, but jobs where, you know, people can raise a family. People are above the poverty level. People are allowed to, you know, earn as much as possible living and residing in the region. They're not having to go across the Altamont to earn those type of wages, but are able to get them here in Stanislaus County. So the 132 corridor, North Modesto, I mean, that like you said, that area is, I think everything is already accounted for. It's just a matter of construction. Now it's, are we going north of Kernan, not just remaining, because all the development right now is south of Kernan. And then that's when you get into the Salida community plan. And how does that area allow for an opportunity for business park, where for you know, other development to happen? And those are the conversations that are going to need to be had, because eventually, and I'm sure representatives from the city of Modesto see that there's not going to be enough infill development land remaining in the city of Modesto with proximity to major thoroughfares, right? A lot of the, I brought up the example of the apartments. Yeah, most of the people living in those apartments are, you know, working for one of our bigger employers in town, working for the hospital across the street, or they work in the Bay Area, and the proximity to the freeway is what's enticing. Because even if they are paying $2,200 for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, that's a lot less than they would be paying for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath in Dublin or Livermore. So they're choosing, okay, I'm a mile, 1.8 miles away from the freeway, and so that's the other thing is you know, how much development is going to allow for us before we run out of space, and what's our plan to add to that.
Great. And I'm sure it's a little bit different as like you said, in some ways you represent Modesto, which you've always done in a sense. Yet at the same point, you have a broader view in that what's best for the county as well, not just your constituents, and which, you know, when you're on the city council, it's not quite that way. So second unrelated question, what's going on? Can you just give us a brief overview of the redistricting process for the supervisors and, what that looks like and how involved the supervisors are in that?
Yeah, so that started, we had a process, we have our staff working on it, senior members of our staff. We put together a committee, one supervisor per district got to appoint someone in their constituency. And then the remaining were drawn out of a lottery system for a total of 11, if I'm not mistaken. And they're working, kind of seeing where the population growth has been, obviously representation for everybody in the region, kind of on a numbers basis, as well as other demographics. And once that's done, they would finalize 2 maps and that would come to the Board of Supervisors, and we would look at those maps and look at those recommendations and eventually make a decision of the new districts for the election cycle in 2022 and going forward until the next census numbers come out. The major impediment or major concern is timing. Because of the pandemic, we have not even received the final US Census numbers of 2020. Some are saying that they should be coming through in September. I saw some calendar events on my schedule in December regarding redistricting, which my assumption, and I just got those yesterday, so haven't been able to follow up with staff on that, but my assumption is we're hoping to have all of our US Census numbers sometime in September and October, so then the committee can make a very educated and well informed decision on their recommendations of the 2 maps.
Great. Any other questions for Manny? All right, thank you, Manny. Thanks for presenting, and I'm sure we'll have you back here fairly soon.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I really enjoy, and like you said, John, representing this area when it comes to on a county level. Obviously, things that I look at are broad, what helps our entire county. But Modesto's, one of my biggest areas that I represent, and just being a resident of Modesto, it really is a big vested interest on my part to see Modesto flourish, whether it's quality of life. I know the city of Modesto, and I commend them on that, putting money behind the Children's Museum, putting money behind the Car Museum, the Awesome Spot Playground. I know the county's already in the initial steps of the Car Museum. We've been helpful as much as possible, and I usually don't even like to say we've been. It's the taxpayers' money that's being spent for the taxpayers' benefit, and all of these are benefits to our residents here in Stanislaus County, because that's more things for them to do, more reasons for them to get out and really keep the economic dollar moving. Whether they're coming to the Car Museum and then afterwards going to dinner in downtown, it all comes back full circle for everybody that resides here. So the more and more attractions or more and more people have the reason to go out and spend their dollar in the community, that just benefits all of us. So all of those projects coming along, it gives me a lot of confidence that that's kind of the next step for us as a community to invite more people to start their family or start their professional life or adult life here in the community. Because one of the biggest things, right, we've all experienced or heard about is kind of the brain drain, people leaving and not coming back into the community. And these are the things that's going to entice them back. The trip park, outdoor activities, or these type of activities where there's things for themselves to do, their children to do. So I'm really happy that that's happening. But I appreciate the opportunity. I'm assuming that there wasn't many questions. I covered as much as I could. But like I said, anytime, any questions on the last deck is my information. And I'm here to serve all of you, serve at your discretion. It's an absolute pleasure and honor to represent Stanislaus County's District 4. But if there's anything that I could be of help with, that's my job and that's my responsibility. So I make myself available to any of you to talk about anything that's of concern to you. And again, thank you so much for the opportunity, and stay cool.
Hey, John,
Great, thank you.
I have a
Yeah,
question.
so,
Can we get a copy of the deck that Manny presented?
yeah, Trish can send that out to the chamber, can send that out to everyone who was on
Thank
the
you.
call today.
Thank you. Manny, you
Great.
did a good job.
Thanks, Cecil. I'm kind of a little bit at a loss. Usually Cecil always has good questions, whether it was at the planning commission or at the city council. And he doesn't come to our board meetings as much as he used to come to our council meetings. So I miss you, Cecil. So just sometimes make a celebrity appearance once in a while to the board of supervisors as well.
I'll tell you, you did such a good job. It didn't leave very much room for question.
I appreciate that. And that's at 120-degree heat with the black turban. Just imagine if I was wearing a cap.
Thanks, Manny.
Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah,
Thanks,
so
Manny.
we're gonna circle back around to Lisa from Adam Gray's office, and I know she has a report for us. Oh, you're on mute.
Hi, good afternoon. Sorry for my delay. We were handling a number of what we do every day here is EDD cases. Like each of the legislative offices, we have hundreds of them. And I don't see an end in sight of the amount of people that need assistance. So following Supervisor Graywall is quite a challenge because he gets a lot of information in when he makes the presentation. And you're correct, Cecil not asking a ton of questions afterwards is quite an achievement as well. With respect to Assemblymember Gray's office, he spent a good deal of time in Modesto this week. Actually had a chance to tour the graffiti museum. He was just loved it. You'll be seeing the posters of the graffiti museum in our office here shortly. In addition to working on localized events and following budget opportunities in Sacramento, he was reached out to by our local fair boards with respect to some CAL FIRE regulations that would have been incredibly prohibitive to their event management, not just for the fairs, but for the activities they do year round using their facilities and stuff. And so there was going to be a huge public hearing next week and so on. I'm happy to report that that matter has been quietly resolved after a good deal of communication this week. And he alerted both of the fair CEOs that the crisis was averted on this CAL FIRE challenges to the fees they were going to incur. So that's kind of a big deal this week. Aside from that, again, we're doing casework left and right. Our office has been open throughout the experience of the pandemic, although maybe remotely. We just have more casework than we probably have ever had before. So my staff is communicating all the time with the constituents. So thanks for pulling me in there, John, to be able to offer a quick update, and appreciate that.
Thank you, Lisa. Is there any announcements, Trish, from the chamber?
Nothing specific. We had Leadership Modesto graduation last night. So I think Christy and Amy both being here, it's appropriate time to say the 2019 class has officially graduated. And I think the steering committee did a fabulous job of properly giving them the honor that they deserved and had to wait a long time for. So a lot of people know that every class is the best class ever. This is definitely the longest, most unique and resilient class probably the group has had in a long time. So I think we're kind of just marveling in that in the moment. We're busy. We have all sorts of things happening. If there's any information you are not getting from the chamber, you're missing a lot from our rising professionals, women in business, our Tech Connect networks, our Stanislaus Green team. We are proudly working to certify more and more businesses to the California Green Business Network platform. We have formally completed 8. We have 10 others in motion. And in the course of the next 6 months, we're hoping to hit 20 complete. And the process of doing that adds that business on the California Green Business Network website as well, which is a marketing platform for businesses that are so sustainably focused. They prefer to work with businesses that are also green certified. So great opportunity for businesses. It's a service we do for free to any businesses chamber member, not just an effort to expand sustainability through our county. So we'll have a lot coming up on that over the next few months to help broaden our outreach throughout the county for that program. That's all the big stuff that comes to mind right now, John.
All right,
Oh,
great.
I
Yeah,
will
go ahead.
add, we're hoping to be having in-person options starting in July, maybe not the first week. We're still struggling with some supply chain issues on our chairs, but we will have some face-to-face interaction after the 4th. So, and we'll just build from there. So looking forward to seeing more faces in person.
And just to add to that, my understanding is once we meet again and back in July, this meeting will probably be a hybrid in July, but the chamber has new furniture. So
Well.
out with those old heavy tables and heavy chairs and in with the new.
Just in the conference room. So kind of, blinder through the lobby into the conference room and it'll feel new and fresh.
Right. I just going to announce that July 7th, the Economic Development Committee meets, same time, 11:30 to 1. The speaker there is our own Kelly Talent on the call here, property management of Vintage Fair Mall, and she is having Macy's store manager also present with her. So she's going to be looking at kind of the local retail outlook experience coming out of pandemic and what we have to look forward to. And then July 26th, the next GRC meeting, we have Chairman of the Board of Supervisors, Vito Chiesa. He will be talking about the COVID-19 Economic Development Assistance Program for businesses. And then also we have someone from the U.S. Chamber talking about updating us on their advocacy efforts in DC. So that'll be great. And then we have the rest of the year filled with pretty much mostly the new city council members and the new supervisors. And so they'll be all speaking. Some of them will be doing not joint presentations, but we do have some where we have supervisors and city council. So we've got, and we'll send that list out. But so for example, August, we have Chris Rickey and Chance Condit, and September is Buck Condit. October is Rosa Escutia Brayton and David Wright, and November is Terry Withrow. So we got quite a lineup for the rest of the year. So any last questions of anyone or announcements anyone has? All right, well, you guys have a great holiday weekend, and we'll see you next month. Thanks, everyone.
Stay cool, stay safe this weekend, everyone.